Hello again guys, thanks for watching. As any of you who noticed my last video will be aware, I have recently redone my CBT. In fact, I did it yesterday. So I thought I'd just do a quick video with my thoughts on the CBT. I'm not going to go into all the things you do and everything because there's some great videos out there which actually have people on bikes doing them, so there's no point in me sitting here as a talking head explaining that. What I will just say is, for the benefit of anyone who's not in the UK and doesn't know what a CBT is a compulsory basic training day. Anyone who wants to ride a motorcycle or a scooter in the UK has to take their compulsory basic training day. Now, the only exception to that is, which I am lucky enough to have had, which is why I haven't done one for a few years, is that if you passed your driving test before February 2001, your full car licence, you were automatically in those days given moped entitlement, which means you could ride a 50cc motorbike or scooter as well as your car, and you didn't have to have L plates, you didn't have to take any other tests or anything like that. So it's what some people call in this country granddad's rights. Well, I'm a granddad, and because I passed my car test back in the 1980s, that is on my licence. Which is why for the last 3 years I've had the Zoomer, which was 50cc, and I was using that to nip round the town and everything in Edinburgh here, and I didn't have to take any more tests or anything else or have L plates on or any of that stuff at all, which was great. However, if you want to upgrade to a 125, again, and that's what I'm thinking of doing, you have to take the CBT. Now, yesterday I was on the CBT with a great group of guys called Harley's Motorcycle Training in Edinburgh. I cannot recommend them strongly enough. They were excellent, and I'll explain a bit why as we go on. This is probably the 4th or 5th CBT I've done over almost a 20-year period. I can't remember if it's 4 or 5, but it's round about there. And I've done it with a variety of different schools. And I have to say yesterday's was the best experience I've had of all the people I've been with. And again, I'll go into why shortly. So I've redone CBT simply because I'm quite happy staying on a 125. I didn't want to go for tests. I've done them because I've been away for biking for maybe 2 or 3 years and then come back to it again and had to have the certificate. So this time I've done it simply because I was on holiday. I'd been thinking about going up to 125, so I thought, well, you know what, I've got a spare couple of days, let's just do it, and then I've got the certificate, because the certificate lasts for 2 years before you either have to take your bike test or redo the CBT, which is a bit of a money-making scam, but anyway. So I've got now 2 years to think about, you know, do I want to get a 125? Do I want to trade in the Zoomer? What do I want to do? Do I want to keep the Zoomer, have a 125 as well? Although that's a storage issue, but anyway, enough about that. So yesterday, why was yesterday so particularly good? Well, a CBT day, your experience on a CBT day is all down to the person who takes it, in my opinion. And yesterday, with Harley's in Edinburgh, we had a guy called Ben who was the instructor, and he was absolutely brilliant. He was a lovely guy, very chilled out, very friendly, humorous. He put you at ease straight away, very knowledgeable, and most importantly, he spent time with you. He spent time on a one-to-one basis. There were 3 of us in all doing the CBT that day. So, you know, a group of 4, the instructor and three candidates. And he spent time with everyone. Now, one thing I'm crap at on a CBT is slalom and U-turns. In fact, and here's an interesting thing, which if any of you are concerned about doing your CBT, it might just encourage you. It's important to know the CBT is not a test. There is no pass mark. There is no written exam. There's nothing like that. It is to show you are competent and safe on the road. And unless you're a complete disaster, most people will pass their CBT. I've done 4 or 5 now. I've never failed one. And even if you're not 100% safe that day, what they will do is they will get you back the next day and they will carry on until you are safe. So it's not a pass or fail. It's not a test or anything like that, really. It's simply to show you're competent. Now, as I say, one of the things I'm lousy at on the CBT is slaloms and especially U-turns. And do you know, the last 2 CBTs I've been on, I've actually tipped the bike on 2 occasions. I'm both trying to do U-turns and hitting a curb and falling over. So that just shows you, you can actually fall off the bike and you will still pass your CBT. Because what they do is they will take you and they will say, right, why did you do that? What did you get wrong? And they will explain it, and they will try again and again. And this is a good reason, by the way, why not to take your own bike on a CBT if you're not very confident yet, is because you can turn the bike over, you can drop it. I wasn't the only person yesterday who dropped the bike. One of the other candidates did too. And that's why they basically give you kind of fairly beaten up scooters, beaten up geared bikes to do the CBT on. So if you turn it over, it's not a disaster, you know. You feel an idiot. I'm not going to say you don't feel stupid. I'm not going to say you don't think, shit, why did I do that? But, you know, it's not a disaster, and it doesn't mean you're going to fail your CBT. Do it when you're having your motorcycle test and you're going to fail, but not on a CBT. So anyway, Ben went through all the introduction things with us, discussing license requirements, all that sort of thing, the purpose of the CBT, that kind of thing. Then you have a look at the bike, you go over all the controls and things. Obviously, there's more controls if you're doing it on a geared bike. I was doing it on a scooter, which is pretty straightforward. But obviously, he deals with clutch control, foot brake, all that sort of thing as well, if you're on a geared bike. So that was great. And then you're out basically on what they call the pad, which is basically a large car park area where you're going to do some manoeuvres, you're going to get a feel for the bike. Now, some of these, in the past, I've been on ones that are all, you know, mapped out like mini roads and that sort of thing, all looks very fancy. Yesterday was basically just an old car park that they have, which still had the lines for where the cars would park, but they had cones to mark out where they wanted you to go and all this sort of thing, so that was fine. And you'll do mock junction manoeuvres, driving up to a junction, braking, stopping, looks, lifesavers, what have you. You will also do a slalom, which I was terrible at usually, and you will do the dreaded U-turn, which is my least favourite of all. Now the slalom, again, I started off yesterday and was rubbish. I was missing cones, but again, because Ben, the trainer, took the time to explain what I was doing wrong, show me what I was doing wrong, and all the time being continually encouraging. I was actually within a space of 10 or 15 minutes slaloming in and out the cones perfectly well. And the U-turn took a bit longer. I'm not great at U-turns, I have to say, but even that, we got it in the end, despite one tumble. But hey, shit happens. So that was it. Now, it's very important, as I say, when you're doing a CBT, especially if you're a bit nervous. And I mean, I've done 4 or 5 CBTs, but I'm still nervous on the day. It's not a natural environment. A CBT is not a natural environment. You're not used to having somebody telling you what to do. And particularly the final part of the day, when you go out for 2 hours on the road and you're going round roundabouts and junctions and all this sort of thing. You know, if you go out on a motorbike normally yourself, as I do every day on the Zoomer, you kind of know where you're going. And I don't think many people set out in completely random directions with no idea where they're going or what they're going to face. So if I'm going locally, I know where I'm going. If I go further afield, I'll have a look at Google Maps. I'll kind of plan where I'm going, and so I've got an idea of what I'm going to face. Now the CBT road training part, which you do, is the last part of the element and last 2 hours, is a completely unnatural state of affairs, because what you have is somebody in your ear, because it's all radio mic'd up, telling you where to go and telling you, right, next junction we're turning right, we're turning left. And it can be, as it was yesterday for me, in a part of town that I wasn't particularly familiar with. It was the other end of town from where I live. So you don't know where you're going. You don't really know what direction you're going in until, you know, maybe 15, 20 seconds before you arrive at a junction. It's not natural. And also you sometimes can have issues with the radio. There can be a break-up in the radio, something like that. Yesterday, I have to say the radios were very, very good. There was hardly anything. I have done CBTs in the past where the radios were terrible, and you've no idea where you're supposed to be going. So it's not a natural environment. So, you know, you're going to be nervous and you're going to feel uncomfortable, which is fine. But you need a good instructor who's going to encourage you and is going to motivate you. And I certainly had that yesterday. Equally, on especially one CBT I did in the past, and I'm not going to mention the company's name because it was a few years ago and things may have changed, the person may no longer be there, the policies may have changed. It was very unpleasant and it almost put me off completely, because this individual was obviously looking down at somebody on a scooter, you know, not as interesting as the people on the bikes, wasn't encouraging, obviously was cheesed off because I wasn't quite as good as the other person was. And it was just a nasty experience. And I'll tell you what happened at the end of the actual CBT day. we both passed. You know, even the guy who was really good at things, the slaloms and the U-turns and all the rest of it, and me who wasn't so good, I'll admit it. We both passed. And we stood at the end of the table at the end of the day to get our certificates. And the guy who took the course turned to the first guy and said, you know, come back, John, for sake of argument, come back, John, we'll get you through your test. You were great, no problem, we'll get you through a test. And he completely ignored me. And I thought, you swine. Now, that was really, really bad. You didn't have to do that. You could just have said something like, Simon, it might take a bit longer, but come back if you want to, we'll help you out. And that would have been fine. He completely ignored me. And I thought at the time, I thought, right, that'll be the last penny of my money that's ever going in your pocket, which is why I didn't go back there for this CBT, and I wouldn't go back again. So do your research if you're doing a CBT. Read the reviews. You know, maybe go and have a wander and have a quick peek over at the course, see what it looks like, see what their pad looks like. Have a look at that sort of thing. Read the reviews. I mean, I left a review for the guys I did yesterday because it was totally justified. They did a great job. So that's it, CBT. Don't be scared of it. You can do, you know, it's to show you're competent, it's to show you're safe. And don't be, you know, don't even worry, even something like tipping the bike is not going to fail your CBT. I mean, one of the guys I was on with yesterday, he was on a geared bike. And he was going round a roundabout at one point, and he just misjudged the clutch control, and the bike shot off, and he ended up on a pavement next to the roundabout. You know, now he didn't fail the CBT. It was just up to the instructor to explain to him what he's done wrong, go to another roundabout and demonstrate he'd learned and demonstrate, you know, he appreciated what the problem was. So that's it. You know, don't be frightened of the CBT. It is a nervous experience. It's not a natural experience. It's not the same as being out on a bike on your own. I personally think that's much easier. But it's teaching you things that you need to know, and it's worth doing. And you have to do it, so there's no avoiding it. You know. So anyway, that's a quick chat about my experiences with the CBT. I hope you've not found that too boring. As I say, there's tons of great videos on YouTube which will show you people doing things on the track and people going out on their road ride and all this sort of thing. And they're really handy to watch. I would recommend you watch them. I did, and I've done 4 or 5 CBTs in the past, so they're always good to watch. Try and do a bit of your highway code before you go. It's important to show you know at least the basics of the highway code, because you will feel like a numpty if you don't. If you're a car driver, you're probably okay anyway. But if you've never been on a bike or a car before, open the highway code. Nobody expects you to remember it word for word or anything like that, but try and at least pick up what the basic shape of the signs mean, some of the more familiar signs, that kind of thing. You will appreciate it when you can answer a few questions and you're not just sitting there with your jaw open, you know, because you haven't got a clue. Okay, so that's it. If you're going for a CBT, do your research, enjoy it. If you're going for a CBT in Edinburgh, go to Harley's in Gorgie in Edinburgh. You'll have a good experience. I can recommend it. But anyway, wherever you go and however you do it, best of luck. It can be a stressful day, but you'll get there in the end. And remember, it is not a test. It is not a test. Okay. So I'll keep you updated with what I've decided to do with my certificate now. I'm still having a look around at 125, still humming and hawing. I was out on the Zoomer again today doing the shopping. It's still my great little go-to bike. So it's here for the moment, and we will continue using it. So that's it, guys. Any questions or anything you want to ask, just drop me a comment. And as always, thanks for watching and thanks for taking an interest. Best of luck to you and ride safe.